I'm going to show a couple videos, guys, while we get people coming on. We are live, so behave, John. Don't say anything too stupid.
2506.
Something broke there, fellers.
Get out of the way.
Let's see here. Got to show one video.
Jason, you also got that one snippet I sent you that I made on TikTok without any music too that you can use.
Oh yeah, okay, that's right. And then Nick just sent me some stuff too. I found the YouTube page, so that's good.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal. Welcome, everybody. It is, hold on, I got to kill my video there. It is Wednesday night. It is June 22nd. And this is our first ever edition of West Coast Pullers Live. So I've had the honor and the privilege to get to know the West Coast guys a little bit. And I met John Boer in person. And I hope to meet everybody come this October. So welcome to this. We're going to do this every other Wednesday night. That's the plan. 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And our hosts are going to be Jason Titsworth. Raise your hand, Jason.
Hello.
Can you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, I'm 47, been pulling for about 20 years. Pro mod in the 6,200 pound class, called California Flash. It's been around since the late 70s. And I have 2 daughters. I've been married for 20 years and beer sales, so I go sling the barley pops all day long. So
Nice. Jason Gish down there in the bottom right corner as we look at, bottom right as we look at our screen. Jason, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a little younger than Titsworth. I'm 43. My family's been pulling since about 1980. My grandpa and my dad built the truck, and now my dad and I run it together. Married, 2 kids, and working construction.
Nice. And then Nick Jackson, where are you at, sir?
So I am right here.
Okay.
I'm down there with Gish. I'm one of the babies, 43 years old. I pulled modified 6,200 pound truck called Here Comes the Judge, built by my great uncle in the early 80s. It sat for a while. I brought it back to life in 2019 and currently under a complete rebuild on that truck as well. I am married for 16 years, have 3 boys, 1 in the military, 2 in high school, and I do commercial audio video, so a form of construction, but we do commercial AV. I'm an operations manager.
Nice. And John Boer, raise your hand, John. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 45, married my wonderful wife Elizabeth for 24 years, coming in July. Got a daughter, farmer, and volunteer fire chief. I've been pulling since 1993. Did a little hiatus for a little bit, and then started back in 2010. I have the 6,200 Pro modified 4-wheel drive called Code 3 fire truck. Also help out with everybody else's programs and stuff like that, and basically it.
Awesome. So the whole goal behind this show, guys, is to, and before we introduce Brian Massetti, the whole goal of the show is us in the Midwest and the East Coast. I knew there was a little bit of pulling in California, and I don't mean to say just California. I know there's a whole West Coast thing, and we'll talk about that. Oregon. What states are we all in out there, guys?
We're all in Cali, except for
Yeah.
Mr. Gish here in Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a whole bunch of pulling that I didn't know existed, and what we want to do is we want to put a spotlight on it and bring it to national attention, and we're going to use our Beer Money Pulling Team platform to do that with your guys' help. So I'm quite excited for that. So join us every other Wednesday night, and we're gonna it'll be just like our Monday night Let's Grow Pulling Live. We're gonna have promoters, we're gonna have pullers, we're gonna have sponsors. We're gonna talk about what happened last weekend. We're gonna talk about upcoming events. John and the team will always be looking to get the promoter where we're heading this following week, get them on, like Brian Massetti for MLM Motorsports has a big West Coast Nationals, I think that's called, coming up. And we're going to talk to that promoter, talk about the events. We can answer questions. You guys can type comments, questions into the comment board, like Elizabeth Boer commented that she's from Modesto, California. I asked where you're watching from. James, that's John's wife. James Phillips is a mini rod puller from Arizona. He typed in there as well. So that's just kind of how it works. It's very interactive. If you have questions, type them in there. Funny stories, let us go. And at that time, so that's good to go. So our first guest tonight is going to be Brian Massetti from MLM Motorsports. Brian, whoops, there went Brian. Nice. I was trying to do that, so sorry about that, Brian. But Brian, welcome to West Coast Pullers Live. Again, we're excited to put a spotlight on the sport of truck and tractor pulling out west. And then if you're watching the show, please like, comment, and share. Please share this to your personal timeline. Please share this to Facebook groups that focus on West Coast pulling, any pages, anything like that, so we can get some, get a lot of comments and get a lot of attention to it. So, Brian, you don't have to say your age. Titsworth started that, so that's just, you don't have to say how old you are unless you want to.
Anyways, but
okay, fair enough. But tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I'll let the guys start talking the questions. And when is well, first of all, what event you have? Is it the West Coast Nationals coming up?
No, that's a different event that happens in February.
Okay.
We've got the next 3 nights were shows in Northern California.
Okay.
And then late in October, we've got a big event in Madera, Central California, where we're from.
So you have an event Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so is it all one place, or are we moving around?
We're moving.
Okay.
Tomorrow night, we'll be in Yuba City, which is north of Sacramento. Friday, we'll head over to Willits, which is a couple hours to the west, north of Ukiah. And then Saturday, we will head all the way up to Eureka. So God willing, we'll have 3 great shows, and Sunday we'll take a nice drive home.
Nice. And where'd you say you broke up a little bit when you talked about where you're going to be Thursday night? Where are you going to be?
Thursday night, tomorrow night, we'll be in Yuba City, which is north. I know.
We have a Yuba, Wisconsin, Brian. There's only like 3 people that live there, but there's like 5 bars. So I don't know. But that's what we do in Wisconsin, Brian. We drink and eat cheese curds. So
all right. Cool.
Kevin Hill's watching from Vermont. So, well, Brian, I guess tell us a little bit about yourself, and then John, Nick, Jason can jump in with questions as well. But I want to know who you are. I want to know more about MLM Motorsports. I want to know how you got started in pulling. I want to know if you have a pulling vehicle or just I don't know shit about you. And so get it all out. Let's go.
Sounds good. Well, so as far as how I got into pulling, I was lucky enough to be born into it. My dad started pulling mid-70s. So as a little kid, I got to go, and it's all the only hobby I've ever had growing up and now in my older years. And when I was a little kid, I'd love going to pulls with my dad and his buddies. They would travel to San Diego, Anaheim, Phoenix. I remember probably being in the 6th grade, and I was so upset because Dad was leaving on Thursday to go to a pull. I couldn't go because I had to go to school. And now I kind of see that with my kids sometimes. I can relate because no fun to have to go to school. But so I grew up in pulling. In 1999, Dan Coelho, who pretty much was brought pickup or truck pulling to California, said he was going to retire. And he had said this for a number of years. He was the main promoter that took care of the 4-wheel drive trucks. But this time he was serious. So he suggested my dad and I do it. And Dad really wasn't too excited about getting involved in that part of it. But 2 fellas that have been pulling for a long time, Paul Lee convinced me that the three of us should team up and do it. And I was pretty young at the time, like 22 or so. And I said, oh, there's no way, I can't do this. I couldn't afford to start anything. And they said, oh, no, we'll do it all together. Well, we did it, and we got it going. Their lives have moved on from pulling. I still keep in contact with Paul, but they don't pull with us anymore. And that's how MLM started. It was Massetti, Leishman, McClintock. So we just kept the name because we already had a logo, and we've just taken it from there.
What year would that have been, Brian?
1999, we formed it, and I think 2000, first year we started putting on pulls.
Okay. If you're just joining us, we have Brian Massetti on from MLM Motorsports, a promoter out in California, as well as our distinguished guest, Jason Gish, Jason Titsworth, Nick Jackson, and John Boer, our hosts. We're going to do West Coast Pulling live every Wednesday night. And right now, again, we got Brian up the court. I just got some video playing, I think, from Stockton, California. Is that okay, guys, if I just play that off to the side?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but again, Brian was kind of telling us about how MLM Motorsports got started, how we got to where we are. You said pulling vehicles. What pulling vehicles have you had, Brian?
So my dad started with Yellow Fever, which is a pro mod. We go, and these other four guys usually beat up on us if we're at the same event. But we've had her. She's been running since the late 70s. When I was in college, I built another pro mod that then we sold probably 16 years ago because we were running 2 4-wheel drives, running a sled, putting on events. Felt like it was too much work. So we sold off the other truck. And then about 12 years ago, my brother and I got the great idea to build a tractor. So we have a twin engine tractor that we run. That we bought the chassis from Donald Nelson. It was an old bullwhip, so we call it the whip. And then a couple of years later, we sold our first sled and we bought our current sled from Richard Love. And then two years ago, we added a limited pro stock diesel pickup that our oldest son, Trevor, drives.
Okay. Is that a 3.0 class or is that a 2.6 class out west?
3.0.
3.0. Okay, cool.
Yes.
I found pictures of your mod and your truck. I'm going to put those up on the screen. Give me a second.
And as far as MLM goes, so Paul and Bruce are not involved anymore. It's Christy and I now. But I didn't really go into the information about myself. Yeah, that's our truck, Yellow Fever. But I'm super lucky to have been married to Christy for the last 20 years.
Does she feel the same way, Brian? Can we ask her? Or is she there by any chance?
She shook. Oh, so ask her. No, she doesn't feel that way. But
I love it.
Lucky, and our promoting company would not be anywhere near what it is without Christy and all she does. She developed an online registration for us. She handles all of the registration and gets everything organized for the events. She does a lot more than she gets credit for.
I will tell you, behind every good association or a good pulling team, there's a good woman. I promise you that. Would this be a picture of Christy?
Yeah, that's her.
Okay, very good. You even married well. Way to go, Massetti. I'm proud of you. So,
there's a settler in every relationship, and you guys could tell who reached, and she settled. So
yeah, everybody that sees my wife, Brian, they ask me why she chose me, and she said I'm good at sales because my wife's a babe too. So it's all good. All right. If you have any questions, we're talking with Brian Massetti from MLM Motorsports. They're going to be in Yuba City, California tomorrow night, Willits, California Friday night, and Eureka, California Saturday night. So is this kind of the dry time of the year for you guys? And I'm not trying to be a smart ass. Normally I am, but is it dry all the time in your area, or do you have a rainy season? Or
well, unfortunately, California's in a pretty nasty drought.
Okay.
At least our Central California, where the four of us guys are from.
Okay.
But yeah, this is definitely a dry time, summertime. It's 101 or 2 degrees here where we are now.
Ugh.
So it's going to get cooler the further north and west we go.
Good deal. My dog saw something. Sorry, guys. So Chris Daniels is checking in with Baby Huey, Nevada. Is that an actual town, Boer? Baby Huey, Nevada?
No, last name was Cool Truck.
No.
Yeah, I know. I was just being funny.
Hey, Brian, a little bit about the history of your new sled and the history of the old sled, and how you the startup of that.
So when we started the promoting company, my dad and I talked, and if you're going to put on an event, you have to have a sled. So Gary Fernandez, who was Dan Coelho's son-in-law, he had owned the sled, been running it for, 15 years or more. And he was ready to get out when Dan was retiring. So we bought his sled. Originally, it was a Coors sled, I believe, out of Colorado.
Oh, cool.
And then Gary had it, and then I ran it for, probably 14, 15 years. And then one Saturday morning, I just Googled tractor pull sled for sale, and Richard Love had posted an ad the day before for his blue sled. So I called him, and we probably talked for, 45 minutes that day. And I was all excited because the year before I had done 19 events with my other sled. And I did our own shows, and then I did some for Pacific tractor pullers and maybe a few for Valley tractor pullers. And so I was talking to Richard, and I said, yeah, I did 19 shows this year. So
Sorry, I'll turn off the volume there.
And you want to buy this sled? And I said, yeah, but it'll grow. And then I think within 3 years, we were up to 40 or 45 events a year. So that was a little too much, but it definitely helped bring California pulling up a notch or two. I think it gives us more credibility out here in general.
Well, the more quality events you can have, Brian, obviously, gives the fans a chance to see, more. I know the pullers are really willing to travel and have a good time. I mean, they came to Illinois to hang out with us for a weekend, so we know they will have will travel. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, there are some guys that'll travel. Heck, last summer Trevor and I we went to Indiana with the diesel pickup. And
you were Shites?
No, we went to hang out with Robert Williams, who we got. That is a good truck that you keep playing there. But we had 3 events to an area got rained out. So we just had a good road trip across the country.
Yep. Memories. Those are called, we call that togetherness, Brian. When you're with your buddies and your pulling buddies and shit goes wrong, it's still togetherness. So that's what that means. So.
Yes, sir. That's for sure.
Small cubicle.
Brad Griffin says, awesome crew. Great to see everyone. Jordan Freitas. How do I say that? Freitas. He's checking in from Chowchilla, California. So, or Chowchilla. Did I say that right, guys?
Chowchilla. Matter of fact, that's Chowchilla is where Brian's first event starts every year.
Okay. I'm just flipping through some photos from Brian's Facebook page right now, so up there on the screen. So if you have any questions for Brian Massetti, MLM Motorsports, any comments about West Coast pulling, please type them into the comments as we go here. Brian Massetti is up in the top left corner of your screen right now. So where were we, Brian? Sorry, I think I saw a squirrel. So. Brian's internet kind of is blinking in and out of us a little bit here.
You offended him. He left.
No. The fair manager we're dealing with tomorrow night, he's called a couple times, but I'll call him back.
Okay. Tell him you're on kind of on a, tell him you're on a big national interview or something like that. So
I think he'll get the point. Didn't answer twice. But.
Yeah. Dusty Mincy's checking in from Applegate, Oregon. So that's cool. Is that up there by you, Gish?
South of me. He's Southern Oregon, and we're more Northern Oregon. Yes.
If anybody watching the show has any very good stories about anybody other than Massetti, please type them into the comments, because Brian's our guest. We have to treat him with respect, but you can hammer the hosts, Titsworth and Jackson and Boer and Gish. It's free reign. So.
Especially Boer.
Exactly. Is this your guys' 3.0 truck?
No, that belongs to Everett Powell, and that's actually a 3.6.
Okay, it has the cut tires on it. I should have known better. So.
Yeah, the orange and gray one is also theirs. That's a 3.0.
Okay, California Flash. That's is that Jackson's?
No, it's titties.
That's Titties. Okay, Titsworth. Okay, got it. It would make sense that you would have a sponsor called Nut Up Titsworth. That's all I'm gonna say, buddy.
So John's been kind of hounding me about this. You know, when I as an adult got back into pulling in 19 and brought the truck back into the fray of things, I was standing talking to Brian, and as Brian said, he was born into it. He knew my great uncle quite well, Pappy Duncan. And Brian, John just keeps hounding me to ask you to tell the story about the time you got babysat by the Bourbon Cowboys.
So my mom, I don't know if she's watching or not, but I think there's a statute of limitations on this. But there was a pull down in Apple Valley, a 2-day show, and I was probably 18 at the time. And my dad had a convention down in Palm Springs, so he drove our hauler down, and then he and my grandpa went to this convention. I was just going to stay in our trailer at the fairgrounds, and Pat and Mike Imperatrice were there, and you guys might remember them, Silver Streak. But Pat, the son, he says, no, you're not staying out here by yourself. You come to the hotel with us. So, okay, great. So we go to the hotel. They say, hey, we're going to go to this bar. Yeah, I'm 18. They said, don't worry about it. So we had been at the pool all day, and I'm not condoning underage drinking, okay, in case my kids are watching. But so we had been at the pool, and we walked in, and it was Pat and his buddy John. I don't remember who else was there, but one of the guys was smoking, and they put like an oil rag in my back pocket, and he handed me a cigarette, and he says, just hold it, and we're going to walk in a line. We're just going to walk right in the door, but do not try to smoke the cigarette because that'll be a dead giveaway. Just hold it. So we did. We walked right into this bar. It was the Boot Scoot Saloon. The Bourbon Cowboys were there with Pappy and Dave, and John Nold was there, and their whole crew. And I don't know. I mean, things got fuzzy after a while, but it was definitely a good time. But that's all I can say. Yes.
Was that the night you got introduced to Mr. Kessler?
Introduced to who?
Mr. Kessler?
Yeah, what I remember was kamikazes out of a pitcher. Like a bunch of them. But yeah, Kessler's was there. That was big. I mean, I don't know if Kessler sponsored them, but they should have.
I actually have pictures of the judge with the woman in a big banner that says Miss Kessler. So,
well, Brian, let's kind of talk about highlight each event here. Yuba City tomorrow night. What time does that start?
Starts at 6:00. They all start at 6:00.
Okay.
The Yuba Sutter Fair. We're glad to be back up here. It's been a few years with the virus, but looking forward to putting on a good show. Then the next day, Friday, we head over to Willits for the Willits Frontier Days. Neat event. Told me today the longest running rodeo in the United States. I mean, you can fact check that, but it sounds good to say anyways.
Yeah, I like it.
Then we've been doing that pool probably 15 years or so.
Okay.
Fred and Marcy Berry they're really involved in the Frontier Days, and they have a pull truck in our class. Super neat people. And then Saturday we'll head back up to the Redwood Acres Fair in Eureka. We haven't been up there for probably 5 years, so it'll be neat to head back up there. And we do have a kind of a connection. Garrett Forbes, who is a professor at Cal Poly, and he's their tractor pull advisor. He's bringing his turboed Allison tractor up there to run for the first time in Eureka. So that'll be nice.
Brian, the pulls, so like in the Midwest, it's kind of it's kind of fair season. There are some standalone events, but most of our polls are part of a fair or a festival. Is it similar to like that for you guys out in California?
Most definitely.
Okay.
Tomorrow night and Saturday night are fairs. Friday is a standalone. There's very few standalones on the schedule, and I mean, obvious reasons. Fairs are easier. They got built-in crowd. I don't know that pulling has the general public following here that it does in the Midwest, so it's hard to draw a good crowd if there's nothing else.
What like there's a big fair in Ohio this week that we're promoting with Beer Money Pulling Team. They got pulling one night, they got a demo derby one night, and they got monster trucks one night. Like, what other motorsports are really popular in California? Is it monster trucks? Is it racing? Like, what other grandstand events do they have, Brian?
Surprisingly, it's like you just said. There will be a monster truck show. I think this fair is having monster trucks one night. There may be motocross, freestyle cross. Derbies are, I don't know if they're hugely popular, but I know a lot of fairs do them. But if it's a fairground has a dirt or an asphalt track, they'll probably run one night of their circle racing during their fair.
Okay, I was curious. And then, would you say that probably every single one of these events has a puller that's either it's their hometown or somebody lives close and that puller is very active in building the track and being part of it? Do you see that like we do in the Midwest?
No, definitely there's always someone that's close to home.
Okay.
That is definitely different than here. We don't get that kind of support or involvement. They'll do their part to promote that the event's coming, but the rest of it we've got to take care of.
Okay, so you're lining up the all the equipment and everything, or does the fair board helping with any of that at all ahead of time? Like, do you have like a checklist like we do? Like, hey, Mr. Promoter, you need this, this, and this, or is it all on MLM Motorsports?
No, well, I give the fair the list of the equipment I want.
Okay.
They provide it. I usually ask for operators that we can then guide and tell them what we want done. Sometimes that happens, but a lot of times it falls on us. And a good friend of mine, John Spielman, who you probably met in Illinois also, he generally helps us with the tracks and kind of takes care of it. And then another guy, well, a couple other guys, Alan Babel and Brent Chippenary are real good about helping with our tracks and the whole event. I mean, we have over the 22 or 3 years we've been doing this, we have really put together a pretty awesome team of people that help us, that take pride like we do in what we're doing and how we're doing it. We definitely always strive to put on the best events for pullers. We want to make sure the pullers know that they're appreciated and that we're putting the effort into that. No, on the business side, we have to put on a good event so that the spectators will show up, so the fair will make their money and we can keep going. But I'm a puller. I grew up pulling. I loved the whole atmosphere of it. That's why we do this, is because we love the sport. I mean, there's no other reason to be promoting unless you love it. We've been blessed to have, become good friends with people that feel the same way and that help us out.
Yep. Again, if you're just joining us, this is our first ever West Coast Pullers Lives with our host, John Boer, Jason Titsworth, Nick Jackson, and Jason Gish. And our first guest ever on our West Coast Pullers is Brian Massetti, owner, promoter of MLM Motorsports. So we're discussing just kind of how MLM Motorsports got started. Again, you can watch this on YouTube. You can rewatch it on YouTube, Facebook. It'll also be on iTunes and Spotify on our audio podcast under our Let's Grow Pulling podcast as well. So you can listen to it on your next poll if you miss the interview or something like that. We're counting on all the West Coast pullers, the West Coast fans, to drive, their friends, family, coworkers, sponsors to the show, so we can grow more awareness of West Coast pulling as it is, as many events as Brian's been talking about. And then again, highlighting Yuba City, California tomorrow night, Thursday night, the 23rd. Friday night, they're going to be in Willits, California at 6 p.m. And then Eureka, California, Saturday night at 6 p.m. 3 big events this Thursday, Friday, Saturday in California. Brian, one thing I want to know is, and we got some video here. It looks like, I think it's from Stockton, California. I took it off of Garrett Sheevy's Facebook page or YouTube page. I'm showing that video right now. Nick Jackson sent me that link. Are the tracks, are they power tracks out west? Are they made from black dirt? Are they clay? Is the dirt different in different parts of California? Like if we pull in the Midwest, we run into some black dirt and clay. And then if we go, the topography changes. Is it similar in California too?
Definitely, but also the situation at the fairgrounds changes. Like Stockton, that's actual dirt track for the outlaw cars, so they brought in some good dirt.
Okay.
Tomorrow night and Friday night, we're going to be in rodeo arenas. So that doesn't bode well for a power track. A lot more sand and whatnot in that. Our favorites are where we can go and it's a dirt track, and because they have the good dirt. But we don't get to tell them what kind of dirt to have. We just deal with what we have.
Oh, absolutely. Now the road arenas, are those shorter? Like I went out in 2016, I was out in Montana. I was helping Live a Little Productions for a week announcing. Those rodeo arenas, those were short tracks, and you had to pull it between the gates or bad things were going to happen.
Tomorrow night and tomorrow night's a little bit wider, but Friday night, yeah, you better keep it between the posts.
Okay, fair enough.
Just like Jason, for instance, like the track you're watching right now there in Stockton, I'd equivalent that one to the same as like Holzhauer's when we were back there with you.
Okay.
About the same as that.
Okay, good. So it's taken some ponies to make it work. So
yeah,
nice to hear that.
One thing too that Brian's probably not going to bring up, but when I first started going with Larry Lopes and pulling with him, his family and his crew, really kept pulling going on the West Coast, and the numbers were down big time, and there was some adjustments with they had to do for payouts and stuff like that. But honestly, I don't think pulling would even be around anymore if it wasn't for this family and what they did to go ahead and rally the troops and get people to pulling in all kinds of different venues and stuff like that just to keep it going. So I mean, hats off to the Massetti family on that, and I really appreciate everything you guys did.
Awesome. And that's the truth. I mean, I've heard the same story before, and I interviewed Chris Schreier, the son of Dave Schreier. Toma's this weekend up here in Wisconsin. It's a big super national pull, and Chris is the son of Dave, who basically rescued the NTPA from bankruptcy in 1986. So to hear that story, and what would pulling be like in the Midwest without the NTPA, right? It'd be, I don't even know if we'd have it. So it's nice to hear that, Brian, that you and your family basically took a chance and you love it. You love it like the rest of us do, and you rallied it, to save it. So thank you very much. So
and Jason Titsworth, I really appreciate you saying that. And my family is a huge part of this thing. You guys know my dad announces all of our events. Mom is here whenever she can be. She'll be here this weekend. She's going to make sure we're all well fed. My brother Kevin, you're normally in the sled, so I'm getting our vehicle ready. My brother Kevin gets all that done. Between he and Trevor and James, they do the driving, make sure everything's jetted right, and it's definitely a family deal. And I can't say enough how important Christy is in this thing, and I am just truly lucky all the way around. But the pulling thing would not happen if it wasn't for her.
what I like about the show, and this is our first ever show, the numbers just keep ticking up for viewers as the show's going on. So it's kind of, you can tell like how Facebook and YouTube, they use the algorithms. Hey, you need to watch this, and you're seeing the pullers jumping on and stuff like that. So this is cool, and it'll gain popularity once people know that we're going to be on here every other Wednesday night. So that's neat to see. And there's a lot of great comments. I've been posting them on the screen as well. I'm kind of running out of questions. John, Jason, Nick, what do you guys got?
Well, I've got a couple for you, Brian. One kind of fun and another one kind of serious. The first one is, what's your favorite class to sit in the sled with? Who gives you the best ride?
Good trap.
That's a
yeah, Jared's probably.
Honestly, And this is a crappy answer, but honestly, my favorite class is the one that's in front of the sled, because it just, some of you guys have ridden in the sled with me before, and there's a lot of sled operators across the country, and I was trained by Logan Thomas in the current sled, and he's probably one of the best, but it is such a fun ride, and it's all night long. When we pull, you got one shot at it, and so you've got your 10, 15 seconds, and that's it. But in the sled, I get to do it all night. And I do need to clarify one thing. Sorry, John Boer, but that year I did like 9 or 10 events for you guys at Valley. Tractors not my gig.
I knew that was coming.
Everybody's got his own, it takes all kinds to make the world go around, but the antiques are not for me. But anything other than that, love it. It's a blast. If you haven't ridden in the sled yet, you need to. It's just it's fun all night. I honestly couldn't pick a favorite. Every night.
Are there any classes where you're on edge the whole time and you get nerves?
Say that again.
Are there any classes where you're on edge when that class is pulling, or your nerves? I mean, hey, there's a good chance we could go for a wild ride here. Or are you pretty calm in the sled at this point? You've got years of experience, so.
It's almost been thrown out a few times.
Yeah, I don't get nervous about a class. I just get nervous about the whole show. Anything could go wrong at any time, and you just. We do a lot of preventative maintenance on the sled and check it out every time, make sure it's in good shape, but you never know what can happen. So my nerves are always on edge for that, but not so much a particular class.
I could back Brian up on that. Running our sled a few times, it turns into a game when you're in that seat. You're like, okay, how far is this one going to go? It's sort of like being in your own little game, sitting in that seat, that sled, and you got the best view of the whole night.
Now you're right. Whenever the Agritronics reads 299, 300, or 301, man, I'm happy. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And a kind of a serious question for you. I mean, I know that you get a lot of feedback from drivers and competitors on a regular basis about, hey, why don't you guys do this, or why don't you do that? I'd like to give you a chance as a promoter. What can we as drivers and competitors do to help you drive this sport? Because you do so much work to drive it. What can we do to help?
Man, that's a good question. First of all, the most important thing that you guys do is showing up. And that sounds stupid, but without a good group of pullers, we don't have an event. That, and then when it's, if a group could take care of their class during the event, like keeping them moving to the sled, keeping, your class, keeping somebody ready to go at all times. That's a big help. But other than that, I never really thought of that. But I'll come up with a list, and I'll
Awesome. You know where to find us.
Yeah.
One thing I do got to say, Brian, is along the lines of what Titsworth said a little bit ago about, you guys have taken the ball and ran with it and really grew it back up from, I want to give a little shout out to the guys before us, like Danny Coelho and John Shipman and that whole crowd that really got it going in the 70s and 80s out here. And then props to you guys and our other promoters in California on how it's really starting to grow. In the past 10 years, it's really starting to pick back up and really get back up and going again.
No, for sure. Dan Coelho, John Shipman, even like Gary Weisenberger from Cal Poly Sleds back in the day. Those guys set a hell of a foundation for us to carry on. And yeah, they carried the sport they cultivated it out here. They brought it here. Story, I don't know all the facts, but Danny, back in the mid 70s, early 70s, he drove, I think, the Red Rabbit truck He bought it. He drove it to a pull in Texas for a stock truck pull, and these guys had hanging weights and engines out the hood. And he got it handed to him, but he came back, and that's what sparked him to build the pull trucks. And then, I mean, look at all he accomplished. And if it wasn't for Dan Coelho, I don't think we'd be pulling here. I know we wouldn't be at the level we are, but I doubt it would even have started out here.
That's definitely.
That's 100%. It's 100% accurate.
Brian, thoughts on GPS versus laser for sled measurements? What do you guys use out west?
I use GPS. I have a counter wheel for a backup if we're indoors or whatever. I've talked to Logan about this a few times. They use both. The GPS is a pretty good system. Never had it fail. So I think it takes out, well, laser does too, but it takes out the swerving down the track, giving you more distance.
That's what those 4x4 mod truck guys like to do. They like to work the wheel, Brian. I've seen them do it. So.
Heard that. Good question, Cody.
Go ahead, Brian.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I just want to say that was a good question from Cody. So.
The only drawback for lasers for me is it's one more person to operate the laser, and running the events we're spread pretty thin.
Absolutely. And then Jerry Fagundes typed in, glad to see the West Coast pullers get some airtime. So there's a whole bunch of Fagundeses out there, aren't they?
But yeah, I mean, I don't know that I've met Jerry, but I know Donnie pretty well. He runs Max Cackle.
Okay.
Jerry was with us in Illinois.
Gotcha.
Okay. I'm assuming they're not related.
I don't think they are, no.
Yeah. Of course, Donnie and Robbie are both very involved in pulling.
I've got to know Robbie out here in the Midwest. Chris Daniels says, "Dang, that's why I don't go straight. They caught you, baby Huey, cheater."
He doesn't go straight because of that short wheelbase.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Brian, maybe talk a little bit about what the little bit of plans that are put together for October, the ideas we got going there.
Okay, cool. So we're renting the Madera Speedway. That's our hometown, Madera, and we're going to put on a big 2-day event, the Golden State Invitational. It's going to be a pull for pullers. We're going to have a crowd, obviously, but everything we're doing and looking at doing is for the pullers. We have some good connections with some pretty big pullers from across the country that tentatively they're planning on coming. One thing I will say is every truck stop I drove past today, diesel was $7 or more a gallon. So I don't know. I mean, if it keeps going,
oh God,
to get people to, but we're looking at bringing out some heavy hitters. Have our classes out that we run out here, and probably both nights. It'll be Friday and Saturday. I think it's October 21st and 22nd. Might do a kickoff on Thursday. We've worked with the Madera Speedway in the past. Kind of a unique event during one of their bigger race weekends, or their bigger cars, I should say. We would run 2 to 3 sessions of pulling in between their main events. And I know that John and Jason have been there before, but it's pretty cool. It brings our sport in front of a whole different set of fans that maybe have never seen pulling. And even the race car drivers were pretty intrigued with what we're doing. So that was a neat event. We're not doing any racing during our pull weekend. It's just going to pulling and pullers, whatever we can do to make the event better for pullers. You guys have probably heard of that Bowling Green event. It's going to be like that, but better.
Yeah. He comes right out with it. Just bang. I love it.
Oh, good.
Well, he may have said that in jest, but anything that MLM puts on is going to be a well-organized and class act event. So don't be surprised if they're able to grow that into something very substantial.
Awesome.
I appreciate it. And our goal is to build a an annual event that people want to do a draw. Like Jason Gish, you guys have Sublimity up there that, people just travel to go there, and it's something that pullers want to be at every year.
Yeah. Yeah, that event you look forward to every year. Yep.
Well, you make it a destination event, guys. You know what I mean? And that's your goal, where people, before they leave, they ask you what the dates are next year, and then they book their hotel or their campsite, and they're already requesting that time off at work. And that's what it does. So do you guys get big, like, speaking of Bowling Green and Tomas and some of the big pulls in the Midwest, I feel like camping really creates that party atmosphere, for the 2 nights and stuff. Do you have much camping for two night events, Brian, out west?
Well, at this one we are. The Madera Fairgrounds has a little camp area with hookups, and we're going to be utilizing that. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of 2-day events. Last one we did was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and there was camping, and that was a pretty good time. I went to bed early every night. I know Jason Gish was there. Our oldest was probably 16 at the time, and it was 10 or 11. And I said, all right, Trev, I'm going to go to bed. We're in our truck there. And he goes, okay, I'll see you. I'm going to go with Uncle Kev. And then I don't know, they came back at like probably 2 in the morning. Yeah.
Statute of limitations.
What was that, John?
Like you said, statute of limitations with the Pappy story. Well, there's statute of limitations on that story too.
Yeah. So on these 2-day deals, yes, definitely, I think adds to the atmosphere and the camaraderie. I know this.
Kevin's up there
making all 3 hooks or bring. Kevin.
He says he. So.
Brother, we've all had a little bit of trouble with you and your brother.
So sometimes when people post, and this happens to us on our other shows too, it just says Facebook user. But somebody commented, obviously somebody from out there, but it says another promoter in the 80s we unfortunately lost was Dave Matthews. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's
he was an amazing man. Amazing man. Yep.
Dylan says Uncle Wayne. I'm not sure what that means, but Dylan's.
But so Dylan and Bell are very good friends with Wayne Purser.
That's kind of cool. Uncle Samish. Throw a little Uncle Sam in there.
So he, in the 2 years of virus shutdown, we did a couple pulls at my shop. We probably had a couple hundred people there. But one of them, Wayne brought his tractor out. And
that's awesome.
He had fun on it. And I've never been seen that beautiful. I mean, that thing is impeccable. And it was a tire test because he had to do meat toss on it. We went out and made a couple passes, and that was one of the most full weekends ever. But now we're traveling all over. So we're Uncle Wayne.
Gotcha.
Tentatively.
Gotcha. Donnie and his family bought their mini tractor, the Sharecrapper 80s. We are not related, so we squashed that rumor.
Answers that.
John Spielman says Madera, some of the best dirt in Cali. And I was told you can't call it Cali. Only the rappers can call it Cali, because John and Titsworth got all pissed at me when I called it Cali that one time.
Well, have you met John Spielman? He's kind of a rapper.
Okay.
He's got the rates for it.
Did he have his Willie Nelson braids in the whole trip?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tony beats a pulling.
We did have that Madera track. It's an asphalt racetrack, but we were able to build a badass track there a couple of years ago, which it was cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm doing it again.
So, Brian, Greg McCullough just asked, what classes are you planning on hosting at the Golden State Invitational?
We will post that when we get everything hammered out.
Okay. So, to be determined.
Yes.
Do you guys do a bunch of live streaming at all yet, Brian? Like the paid live streams, or what do you got? Anything working?
We don't. I watched yours that you guys did there at Holhauser's, but John Boer and I have talked about that, and that's something I definitely want to have a conversation with you about.
Well, I think with the people we know, I feel like we could possibly pull off your October event. We'd get Ryan Zolik out there. Charles, don't you agree with that, bud?
Yeah, I think so. And then like I hate the short notice of it because I want to be there in person myself too. But we'll figure it out something to get that covered. It needs to happen.
Yeah, I think it'd be good, especially that time of the year. There's not any polling going on in the Midwest. That's a chance to open up that if we promote it correctly and get the word out there, Brian.
Yeah.
But that's one of the reasons we went with later in the years, because I know the big series are all wrapped up, and we're hoping to draw a few other Midwest guys to come out and pull.
Yep. And then Dylan says camping at the MLM headquarters. That's what they're going to have there.
Man, I love that kid, but he needs to tone down all the secrets. We'll be camping at the fairgrounds.
Brian, all we need is an address, and we'll fill your campground. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, what weekend in October is that?
I don't have a calendar. 21st and 22nd, I believe.
I'll pull it up.
Ooh, that might even work. Nice.
Cool.
Now, is Dylan's dad the under the influence John Deere Super? Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that's Alan, right, Babel? Alan's the dad?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And then they just a pretty sweet Alice Chalmers that Dylan runs out here, a diesel tractor.
Now, is that like a 640 cubic inch super farm like we have back here, or is it a 466 hot farm?
No, it's a hot farm for now. But man, I think they're lower than that. They're like 420 or 430 cubes.
Well, if it's an Alice, it might be 426. If it's a true Alice motor.
That's right.
Okay.
But man, it's a good running tractor. But I tell you what, it's one of the most beautiful I've ever seen.
No, it's sharp. It's sharp. I will. If you guys want to keep talking to Brian, I'll get some pictures up of it. So.
Okay.
8,500 pounds is what that one is. It's built for a class that we started with VTPA, 8,500 pound hot farm basically is what it's called. Certain RPM limit, certain turbo size. I forgot all the rules today, but it's 8,500 pound class that we started out here 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's a good looking tractor.
I think it's beautiful, flawless.
And Brian, per your website has the Invitational as the 21st and 22nd of October.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yep. And then Mrs. Boer just confirmed that, John's wife, and she's the one who can read in the family, so we trust her. So it's all good.
That's true.
Well, Brian, let's recap your weekend, your next 3 nights. I know you need to get busy and get going, and I'll wrap up with our host. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Yuba City, California, Thursday night, Willits, California, Friday night, and Eureka, California, Saturday night, 6 p.m. start time on all of those.
That is.
And then is there a Facebook page or a website or anything that people can find more information about these events, Brian?
Yes. So our website is mlm-motorsports.com.
Okay.
And we're also MLM on Facebook. And another thing that Christy does at our events is she posts the results to our Facebook page during the event.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's kind of cool because, when you're in the pits, you can never hear the announcing. And, when we have our LED boards up, it helps. But we
got to introduce you to some Midwest announcing style and some speakers then.
Speakers is the problem. We go to a rodeo arena and it's not set up for what we're trying to do. But if the sound system's good, you can hear, but you know how that goes. So we just post everything and there on our website, well, there's our schedule, but on the homepage there on the fender of the tractor, there's a link that register here. I I think she's got, you could pick all 3 nights or any of the above. And that's the coolest system. She gets it all dialed in, and then when they get here, it's printed out, and they just have to sign the waiver, and we're done. Well, I think that's how easy it works. I don't spend any time at the. That's how it's.
I'm funny, Massetti. I'm funny. I love these guys. I love it. Sorry, I had to, John. I had to. So.
Did a good impression back there.
Oh, no, Massetti's pissed at me. I lost him. Usually I hang up on the guest, not the guest hang up on me.
So if you guys come out in October, who's gonna grab a microphone, Charles or Jason?
Charles is a professional announcer. I am a hack. So.
And we'll define professional as those who get paid and not based on skill level.
That's fine, Charles. Whatever you want to call him, buddy. So. Well, I'll do a little color for Charles, but Charles is the main guy. So
you're gonna give me a big head.
So the website's up, everybody. I put the MLM-motorsports.com in there. Brian's back with us. Brian, I'm gonna pull up your schedule on the website here a little bit. There was Chowchilla on May 20th. Yuba Sutter Fair, Yuba City, California, tomorrow night, 6:00. Good information on here. You got your classes listed, scales and registration. Willits Frontier Days, Willits, California, Friday the 24th at 6:00, and Redwood Acres, California, Eureka, California. So it looks like you guys have a month off on the MLM schedule, and picks back up in Ukiah, California, Winnemucca, Nevada. Is that close to Baby Huey's hometown?
I think it's a few hours east of him, actually.
Yeah, it's a couple hours east. Chris is in Carson City. 4 hours.
And then there's the Gold State Invitational that we're going to do our best to. Well, we're going to help promote it no matter what. Then we just have to figure out how to get a couple of our smiley faces out there from the Midwest. So we'll work on that as time goes.
We'd love
it. Brian, it's been awesome having you on tonight. The comments, one person can say something nice about somebody, but when multiple people say something nice about you, and it's legit. And thank you for keeping pulling alive. Out west. Everybody's more than one person said that tonight to you and your family. And I know everybody that's watching the show, everybody that's on the show with us right now, we know the work, the time, the effort, the sleepless nights, the anxiety, all the things that go into putting on a pull. And you guys run an association. So on behalf of everybody who loves the sport of truck and tractor pulling, thank you to you and your entire family for keeping it alive out west. So.
Well, I do appreciate all the kind words, and I thank you guys for what you're doing and for having us on and giving us the opportunity to talk about our series and our shows and for promoting pulling in general. If we don't talk about how great it is, who will?
Right. Well, we want to use our platform that we've worked hard to build to promote pulling from East Coast to West Coast, and but we can't do it all, and that's where John had this idea. Is like we need to do a live, and so we started chatting at the Pullers Championship back in May, and Titsworth, Jackson, and Gish, they're getting paid I think $100,000 an episode to be on here with us, and So
damn, good deal if you can get it. Wow.
Well, it's 100,000, but it's pesos, so
yeah. I didn't say that still would add up to like at least $10, don't you think, Charles? So,
yeah, more than I'm getting out of it. So
it's more than I pay Charles on Monday nights. I'm not gonna lie. So
we're having it.
Anything more than zero. So, Brian, do you have anything else before we let you go tonight?
I don't. I really appreciate you guys having me, and I do really appreciate all of our pullers that support us throughout the years. 23 years, I think we've been doing this, so we couldn't do it without pullers. Definitely looking forward to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Good luck this weekend, and we'll stay in touch. Okay, bud?
All right. Thank you. Good.
Yep.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian Massetti, MLM Motorsports, was our first guest ever on our West Coast Pullers Live. Charles made a comment, "Hey, gang." So I just sent Charles a quick link and threw him in here. So this is Charles Posch, everybody. He's from Michigan, and he is an announcer, photographer, porn star. Oh no, I'm sorry, that was somebody else. But announcer and photographer.
If that gig paid as good as you made it sound like, I wouldn't have to be on here.
Love it. But we're going to do our best.
Jason Gish.
Yeah.
Is he listed in the Urban Dictionary?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's all I'm going to say.
Let's put Gish. We got to put Gish on the big screen there.
Spectacular. Says so on the T-shirt.
No. Yeah, see,
he is spectacular.
He won that bull. That's right.
Yeah, he did. He came down to Carson and kicked all of our butts.
Turn around. Let's see the back of that.
No, do we want to see that? Do we really want to do that? Oh, boy.
We do.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, guys, great first show. I mean, we had a lot of people watching, a lot of comments, and I think as it goes on, I think I think more people will be watching this and tuning in. I sent the link to each one of you. Share it out to your personal Facebook pages, your team pages, and different things like that, so more people can catch on to this, and I think they'll start tuning in more and watch it. So,
yeah,
I'm excited.
Right on.
Basically, I can finish up with what we this past weekend we went to the Summer Nationals that Max Gackle does in Stockton. Ran there. We brought an old truck back out and had a couple flaws.
John, is there any video or pictures of any of this event on your page at all?
Yeah, you could post the failed effort of Utterly.
Yeah.
It's funny because we put a picture on the track that had been down, 14? 12.
Over 13.
And it's ironic because the name that came up about who really started pulling on the West Coast being Dan Coelho, I got another blessing in my pulling career. Saturday, I got to drive the truck that was his original Wild Hair. With my truck being down for the season, it's been purchased by a friend of ours, Arnold Avila. So he being a dairyman, it is now called Utterly Wild, and that's Utterly with 2 Ds. He didn't have an engine in it, and Arnold's had a lot going on, hasn't had time to really build his engine, and obviously supply chain issues are causing a problem.
Yep.
So with me having the Judge put away for the year and the rebuild we're going through, I said, we were sitting in the shop one night, and I said, hey, let's put my motor in Utterly and, let Arnold get started. So we did. We put the Judge's power plant
2 weeks.
Yeah, in 2 weeks we put it in there, working Saturdays and after work. We went out and pulled it for the first time in Stockton on Saturday. Wasn't the result we were looking for. We had some issues. The front end decided it wanted to be a paint shaker. And I got bailed out. My zip tie technician, famous John Boer, tied my ignition control wires too tight, and it unplugged it when the truck started shaking. So luckily it shut the truck down before we were able to do any damage.
Good comment we got from Chris on that one. Yeah.
So yeah, that is Utterly Wild. Formerly Still Wild and formerly the Wild Hair.
And where was this at, guys?
That was in Stockton.
Okay.
I've got to come out there for a weekend with you guys. The way you guys describe stuff and your sense of humor is just it's such a ball.
Little story behind that comment from my wife there, Jason. On 2 Saturdays ago was the first night we got the motor in, and we were getting all the plumbing all put together and everything else. We had a little issue with some nozzles plugging up, so we're out there scrambling, working on it, not keeping track of the time. And we finally got everything cleaned out. We went and fired the truck up, started moving forward and back, and all of a sudden I get a text message from my wife. It's 1 a.m. She goes, "Our neighbors are really loving you right now."
Yeah.
I was in Hutchinson, Minnesota this past weekend, and I parked between Esden Lane and Brett Berg. So Brett Berg has the 4-engine mod moneymaker, and he blew a burst panel Friday night, and pull got done about 11:30, and they're over there working on it. About at 1:30, Esden was drinking some beer at our trailer and a bunch of people, and all of a sudden, And I was like, whoa. And everybody that was left in the pits went running to watch the Moneymaker just warm it up a little bit to make sure everything was fun. So, but yeah, that's a good story. But no, there wasn't any neighbors around like you Californians waking all the neighbors up a little bit. So I've heard this Max Cackle. I heard Brian mention it, and it's on that. Is that another promoter out there, or what's Max Cackle?
Yeah, that's another promoter out here, Donnie Fagundes. He has 3 pulls a year.
Okay.
Off the year in February with the Winter Nationals at Tulare, and then Summer Nationals at Stockton, and in between that they got the Dixon Fair, which is just
So what were you thinking there, Nick, when that happened?
I was thinking, why am I pushing the throttle forward and the truck's dying?
Yep.
It was, I mean, and essentially what it was just as if the sled had pulled the kill switch on the truck.
Okay.
But like I said, it probably saved us a lot of heartache. There were some shims that need to go in with the way that chassis is designed that we're not in. And we think that's what was causing that front end shake. You can see how violent it was if you go back and run that video in slow motion. You can see how much those front tires were starting to really get out of them.
Is it the whole front axle, or is it torque steer doing that? Tie rods.
A solid front axle.
is that whole front axle just going side to side. Ain't got no gas.
Ain't got no gas in it. You're right.
I know what's wrong with it. Ain't got no gas in it.
God, Chris has got the jokes to.
But yeah, you can see him start going there.
Well, since we're saying a few little jokes here from Mr. Daniels, Gish, what happened in Sublimity the second night?
Ouch.
Oh,
Yeah.
the sticky gloves.
Is this still a thing out there for California Polytechnics still to have the student driven modified tractor that they pull?
Yeah. Yep. Go to, let's say, probably about 20 events a year.
Awesome. And 20 events a year. Listen to that. That's awesome.
Yeah, Mustang Legacy is out pretty regularly.
Cool. That's super cool that you guys have that program and it's pushed that hard. That's awesome.
We had another program here in California. Minnesota Junior College had a program, and it's called the Mad Professor. It's a country modified in this area, but since the whole COVID thing and everything else, they've been non-existent here as of late.
Is this Daniels?
Yeah. Chris.
God, I love the look of that truck.
Yeah, that's a pretty truck.
How wide is that track? About 80 feet?
Yeah. It's pretty long.
But there were two sleds earlier, right, guys? That is a humongous grandstand. They must have race in there or something, right? They have to.
So the World of Outlaws actually around there every year.
Okay.
So Jason, you and I were just talking about this the other day. What did you say when they go? Yeah, that is a very large venue.
What track is that?
That's Stockton, California.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Which
Fremont Flow Racing. That's actually a pretty sweet place for sprint cars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Outlaws run there every year. The national tour comes through there every year. So, and they pack a lot of people in there.
Yeah, you
That's
probably
funny that-
cancel whatever's spooling. I don't know what that is, but
that was this poll here.
What was that?
yeah. What was that spooling? That was
Explain that one.
that was something.
That was the next video that played, so I'm not sure. We went from Baby Huey to some white rappers. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Oh, good. And I don't know if that's supposed to mean anything for Daniels. Like, does Facebook know that he's a little freaky? I don't know. They might, if they know what he clicks on. So, John Boer, there's an important question on the screen. I feel like it has some value, and I need you to answer it. So,
That's Sammy. It's Sammy and Craig up in Oregon. They got Moonlighter and Limited. Their dad Steve-O and sister Jen. They're up in Washington. The past 2 years of Sublimity, I've gotten as close as 1.5 feet to finally beating her, but I've never gotten around either one of those two trucks.
so she's trash talking. She's trash talking a little bit.
Oh yeah, I call her Kryptonite. So they got Moonlighter and Limited.
That's daily with her.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it's okay.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
The track was originally built for horse racing. Okay.
Yeah. It was originally a horse racing track.
Mike Davis says, "Good looking truck on that flyer." Which flyer? What did I have? Did I have a flyer up?
That was the Stockton. The Stockton pool down there. He had a super stock truck that's called Cornchild, and since then my cousin actually bought it, Jonathan, and in the process of putting a motor in it and coming back out.
Yeah.
Is that Haveman, like with the little two-wheeler that does all the dancing? Is that the Haveman family?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That is such a cool deal. I'll bring that flyer back up. So this was the flyer for Stockton last week. What you're saying? Yeah, there we go. Lisa, do you have any videos of your two-wheeler, your little wheel stander anywhere on your Facebook page? Let me go do a search.
Gish
Yeah.
was,
If she doesn't, at least Joey does.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Okay.
Gish never got to tell his story.
Oh, the Sublimity story. Well, I don't know.
Is that truck called Psycho, or is that the red one?
No, that was
Okay. Yeah.
If anyone knows where Psycho is, you need to find me. Find me, because I'm probably the last person to see it complete. Gotta find that.
the children find now.
Big 60-foot bolt we got in today. That was in 2014. So. Sorry there. Okay, so let me get back to. Okay, so Jason has to tell a story. Jason, tell a story.
I don't know if the story's worth telling, but got too close to the edge and got nervous, and I don't know. The story goes that I let that.
Tell the story.
Oh, and both
Whether
of
or
that.
not it happened or not, I don't know. But the funny thing is, John does all the trash talking. I let off the throttle completely and got back on it and still beat him. I don't know how he was trash talking out here, so.
Kind of jinxed, he was doing what this group does best and engaging in shenanigans, and he stole Chris Daniels' mascot. Chris has a little rubber duck that sits on top of his throttle, and he takes it off when he starts to pull.
Oh, yeah.
It was like a zombie duck. Was it a zombie duck?
Yeah.
Jason, this is your truck here, right?
Yeah. Well, not mine. It's my dad. I just get to drive it. But yeah, so he has that duck that's on his throttle. I was pretty much pushed into it by John Boer that I should steal it and I got an ugly duckling because our truck's called Double Ugly. And so I got a real ugly duckling, and I put his on my throttle and put my ugly duckling on his. And so we switched for the night, and I just about ran off the track and went out of bounds, and hand fell off the throttle and all that stuff. So I will never, ever touch Chris's duck again. It's cursed. It's cursed.
Be careful.
Incident. Let them know what.
Smart asses, they bought me some, like catcher's gloves or sticky gloves for football players, so they're nice and sticky, so my hand won't slip off the throttle anymore. So they're very kind, these Californians, very kind.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Gish, can you say I will never touch Chris's duck ever again for me? Just for the audience.
I said it twice. That's enough.
Good. Charles, we need to grab that audio and have a little fun with it. That's all.
I will totally pull that out, and that'll be a drop going forward.
Yeah, Chris does a few extra ducks in my wedding.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and we will add now I love it onto the end of it.
Oh, shoot. No, this is what it's all about, guys. The camaraderie. And I joked about the togetherness earlier, but no matter what happens, good or bad, you're together with your pulling buddies, your pulling family, and that's what makes it special. The announcers, the sponsors. I was fortunate enough to hang out with the title sponsor at Hutchinson. He owns 7 Case IH dealerships till 3:30 in the morning. We talked pulling and we talked smart, and there was some drinking going on, but it wasn't anything out of control. But he was really impressed with the pull and. To get the sponsors involved in that, because you guys know we can't do it without them. So it's good times.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm excited to do this, guys, to put a spotlight on California pulling, to use our platform. I feel like you guys are part of the family, even Titsworth with a cool name like that. I think it's important that we share, we grow. I'm counting on you guys to get more video and pictures up on John, you can get on Beer Money. I can add the rest of the guys. Get them on your personal pages so we can share what happens. And really, everybody does a good job of covering the poll now and posting stuff post-event. We all need to get leading up to the event. Time, start place, classes. That's what we really need to do, because I'm so sick of hearing, and Charles is sick of hearing this too. Well, crap, I didn't even know that was going on this weekend. And I'm like, you living under a rock. So
I consider myself someone who's wired in, and I get caught going, what? I didn't know that was a thing.
So
yeah.
What do you got coming up soon, Gish? You got anything coming up soon up there?
No, nothing up here though. The closest one is when we'll do that Weezer one in Idaho, but nothing coming up. Nothing real big until they do this pull down in Harrisburg, which is just right near Eugene. It's a great little community that's trying to build up a pull there. And it's a 2-night event, and we all go down there. We have just a blast down there. It's a lot of fun. It's just more of a laid-back type of deal. Really, not a competition thing. The Sled's set pretty light, and so it's easy on our rigs. And we go down there just to put a show on for them and try and help grow that pole down there, because the community down there is pretty awesome. And that group that puts that pole on they're an amazing group of people. So, and then then Spokane, and then Sublimity the weekend before Spokane, and Bombers Ferry. So those are always also a ton of fun too.
Yeah, Ralph and Mary Tramp, we know that California isn't the only West Coast state that has polls. We actually said that at the very beginning. That's why the show is called the West Coast Pullers. So our job, we're going to do our best to get. This is our first show. Brian Massetti was our first guest because he had events come up this weekend. So if you want to come on the show, if you want to promote your event, you get a hold of John Boer or Nick Jackson or Jason Gish or Titsworth, and tell them you want to be on the show. And every other Wednesday they'll set it up and we'll make it happen, because that's what we're trying to do. We have a lot of followers on YouTube and Facebook that can see this, and hopefully we put more butts in the seats at your guys' events. So Bonners Ferry, Idaho, the 17th. So
Yeah.
I'm going to play this. This is from last October. Do you know where this was, Gish?
Gardnerville.
And he
This is
won.
you driving your truck, right? Your dad's truck.
Yep.
Out the gate.
Yeah, it was a fun run.
And yet he won the pool that night, but he lost at the casino that night.
That tends to happen out there. So
Casino kicks my butt. Yeah.
no, Lisa, we want to share it all. I just know these guys personally, and I share in their Facebook pages. So Lisa, if you're not afraid to post pictures, I'll put you on a site where if you'll post stuff on Facebook, send me a message. We can share all those pictures. That'd be awesome. So,
Well, she's the one that's taking pictures of all of us up here. She takes pictures of all the trucks. Good job. Yeah, great job.
Lisa,
Yeah.
just let us know. Lisa, just let us know. Okay, guys, I don't know. John, do you want to wrap this up, or Jason, or Nick, or Jay? Yeah, both Jasons. There's 3 Jasons on here. Holy God, that's a bunch of Jasons.
Very popular name.
I'd like to thank Central Valley Dodge here in Modesto for allowing us to use their conference room and stuff. Giving us access to here for 4 shows. Thanks to everybody that helped put this on. Gish for coming on, and these two, me and Jason, you and Charles. I think it's going to turn out to be a pretty good thing.
Yeah, I mean, get some feedback from your friends. You know, you'll see them this week, and to say, hey, what'd you think of the show? What do you want to see? And it kind of, John, I'm not going to lie to you. There's some nights Charles and I are scrambling about 3 minutes before the show, and I get a text like, who do you got tonight? And I say, Charles, I thought you had somebody. That's me. Going, he goes, oh boy. So,
It does happen. It does happen.
It does happen. So just, try to, we talked about, we had a Google spreadsheet for about a week that we used, and then it always turns into something. But no, we have fun. We always have stuff to talk about. Like I said, but the more pictures and videos you guys can get posted up, that I can, while you guys are talking, I can flip through the Facebook pages and YouTube channels like that, and pop stuff on here, and share it on the screen, because ultimately that's what people want to. I mean, let's tell the stories. Let's facilitate the storytelling. But if we can show pictures and videos, without the sound while the storytelling's happening, that's really what I think creates a really good show, guys. So.
Yep. Sure. Yep.
And you guys are excellent storytellers. I mean, every time we've talked to you and even seeing you guys in person in Illinois, thank you for making the trip out there. Just, I was in stitches talking to all of you. It's fun talking to you guys.
Last back there with you guys. That was fun.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It's a blast. Well, so Big Rye, if you guys watch our Monday night show, he always asks a question, and we'll do this on this show too. We got to ask Massetti, but he has to be partial. Jason, if you could, I know we asked you this before, but Titsworth, if you could steal the keys to anything, anywhere, and drive it anywhere without worrying about breaking it and having to pay for it, what would you grab?
I'd probably grab the whip and go run it.
Okay, that's their 2-engine mod, right?
7200 two-engine mod.
Gish?
Oh man, probably one of the old pro mod or super modified trucks, like the Locomotion, Rat Poison, those kind of guys. I think I would love to run one of those old super mod guys, the real long stretched out ones.
Oh, cool.
No one's ever said that, I don't think.
Nope, they haven't.
I don't think. That's a first. That's cool.
Growing up as a kid, those were my favorite ones to watch. I loved it. And a lot of them, they turn the blower up down so they can come out and loping out on the track, and stuff. And those always caught me. I mean, all of the classes, like Brian was saying, I love watching them, but those old style, super long wheelbase pro modifieds, man, I liked it a lot. Or super modifieds, I really liked them a lot.
Nick Jackson, what would you try?
I said I was pretty much living my dream, but I do have another one, and it would be combine two things. If I could get behind the wheel of Thin Blue Line, because number one, that would put me in a two-wheel drive super modified, and number two, I could steal a little bit of John's stuff so he wouldn't be the only wee-woo guy in the group.
Well said, Nick Jackson. Well said. I like that. John Boer?
Only because I think he's watching right now just to pick on a little bit. Probably Swiss car, because I don't know how many times he's promised me that I'd drive it if I sold him some
Keep selling that. Keep selling yourself. Keep selling.
Did he break the front end in Stockton?
Yeah, he got it back together. I talked to him a little bit ago. It's back together, and he's on his. He should be in Yuba City just now.
Okay. Are those Jello shots that Elizabeth put on the screen, or what are those? What's that emoji?
Bubblegum lights, man.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Old school.
Love it.
Cadillac ambulance lights.
Oh, gotcha. For Code Red. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
I'm tired. My wife's yelling at me in the other room, guys. So.
You better go.
No. It's not yelling like that. It's not bedtime, if you know what I mean. So. Wow. What are you wearing, honey?
Wow.
Guys, it's been great. I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to go 2 weeks from tonight, John, right?
yeah,
And that would be July. Let's look.
July 6th.
July 6th. Okay. And then, find a guest if you can, John. If not, just we'll cover, past events and what's coming up. Just let me know. So
We're working on one right now.
okay.
Just got to give him a call.
No, that's a good deal. I'm sure you guys are super popular after tonight. Oh, I love it. Well, guys, thanks for your time. Charles, thanks for jumping on. It's always great to see your pretty face.
Yep.
So Jason Gish, Jason Titsworth, John Boer, Nick Jackson, Charles Post, Jason Schultz. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching our first ever West Coast Pullers. Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
You guys stick on. You guys hang on. I'm going to hit the end live button here. We have a